Do you think there's a way to do that, like a genuine way to do that, just seeing that the energy of the progressives seems to have taken over the party as opposed to Bobby Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard?
I'm glad you asked that question.
People that moved over.
I'm glad you asked that question.
Okay, that's a nice drive in the lane. That's a nice drive through the lane, Stephen A. I see you. A couple of nice moves.
So let's say, for example, when you had folks within the Democratic Party on the progressive side talking about transgender.
And he blows the layup. $1 million move and a 10-cent finish. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. My name is Reese Waters, and this is Who Raised Y'all, where we highlight those unique individuals going above and beyond to make society worse.
What the hell are you doing talking about less than 1% of the population like it's a very, very serious issue?
The kinds of people you'll see asking to speak to the manager at the pearly gates.
If I were to ever run for office, I wouldn't listen to them at all. I wouldn't take that nonsense from them one bit.
Now, when we were last here, we were watching Stephen A. struggling to hide his red hat, which apparently also comes with a unit attached.
There is no doubt that he has done more than practically almost any administration has tried to do when it comes to ending conflicts around the world. And he's put himself in a position where the political capital that he stands to gain isn't necessarily that great. So his willingness to do so is obviously something that shouldn't be ignored and something that should be, dare I say, applauded to some degree. Again, that doesn't mean I like everything he does. You and I can argue back and forth about a few things. But in the end, you are absolutely right when you point out that there's not much to gain for him in a lot of this, yet he engages anyway, and you have to give credit where credit is due.
Anybody? Literally just Trump himself. Literally just an audience of one. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
You know what? Look at my African-American over here. Look at him.
Now, at the time, I said, it is 2026. If you are not free to live your truth now, when will you be free to live your truth? Go on and jump out the closet, Stephen A. You know what I mean? Ain't no reason to still be out here on the down low as a Democrat. Really, you cause more pain to the community on the down low. Really, if you want to know the truth, we all should be more accepting, and therefore we can all feel more comfortable with one another. And what is it that you decided to go run and do? Right back to right-wing media.
So it seems to me that your attachments to the Democrat Party are of a Democrat Party maybe of 20 or 30 or 40
Absolutely.
years ago, because everything that you talk about and the way that I actually love that you still describe yourself as a liberal, because I do consider I'm a real liberal. It just has nothing to do with the Democrat Party now.
Did you say 20 or 30 or 40 years ago? Well, given that the fact that a man who speaks for a living responded to a clampdown on the First Amendment as you know he's coming, try 200. Try 200.
The gay rights, let's say, or abortion, which has been kicked back to the states. Republicans aren't really screaming about it. You don't hear them trying to reverse gay marriage or something. Or the fact that Trump has really shifted the party when it comes to let's say, minorities.
Nobody loves to talk about that more than Black Maga. Ain't that right? I would have said Black Maga and Latinos for Trump, but they've been pretty quiet. They've been pretty. They put the drums and the maracas down. Yeah, they sing in a cappella now.
It still seems to me you are more of a Republican.
Damn. I'll leave my water downstairs.
It still seems to me you are more of a Republican.
Hey, Stephen A. He called you Kyrie Irving. He said that's this whole Democratic song and dance, just retire. He said you should just retire. He said you like Ben Simmons. You scared to shoot your shot. Shoot your shot, Stephen A. Go to the basket. Man. And Stephen A., it be your own people. And yes, that is your own people.
It still seems to me you are more of a Republican. I'm not trying to just throw you in a bucket, but you're just trying to understand the thought process.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's fair is fair. If you see what I say and what I believe and how I conduct myself, I have no problem with people saying that.
Yeah.
Pat Your Bet David has become a really good friend of mine.
That's not helping, Stephen A. That's not helping. You know what, Republican, I see how you could say that. I see how you could say that. I did listen to Laura Trump's greatest hits on the way down here. That is true.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. You know this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
And I traded a couple of Trump NFTs on my way getting out the car in order to go to my boxing appointment with Scott Bessent. Yeah, he teach me how to let my hands go. So yeah, I get that. I understand all of that.
He and I talk all the time, and he always says, he always says, "You are the most conservative Democrat I've ever seen."
They used to exist.
That's what he
Blue
said.
dog Democrats, yeah.
He don't know what to do. Excuse me. He says, "I'm the most conservative Democrat he has seen." But I don't view it that way. I view, to me, if I was in office, I would be focusing on the desolate and the disenfranchised more than I see the Republican Party doing. I agree and I believe in free market capitalism from a principled perspective. But in the same breath, I do believe there are people out here who need a helping hand, who need assistance. I do believe in entitlement programs for the disenfranchised, for the poor amongst us. I do believe in helping to uplift the little man and the little woman and giving folks a chance at the American dream. And I don't think that the GOP comes across nearly as much as saying that and thinking that way. I think what they do is they say, this is our system and there's a way to capitalize it. Go for it, y'all, as opposed to being sensitive to the fact that there's a segment of our populace that has had an advantage, that has had a step up and a step forward. And as a result of that, you've got to scale things back to some degree to give the smaller person an opportunity, a fighting chance to have their piece of the American dream. And I don't think that the GOP comes across as a party that's ultra sensitive to that.
Okay, that's a nice drive in the lane. That's a nice drive through the lane, Stephen A. I see you. Couple of nice moves.
But I will say this, I am in no way identifying myself with today's Democratic Party. When I'm talking about Democrat, I'm talking about me being a moderate. I'm talking about the Democrats that existed in the 80s and the 90s, the Clinton Democrats and stuff like that. I'm not talking about this strong progressive left, you know, with some of the nonsense that they've spewed and the positions that they've taken. Oh no, if I were to ever run for office, I wouldn't listen to them at all. I wouldn't take that nonsense from them one bit.
What do you mean by that?
Do you think there's a way to do that, like a genuine way to do that, just seeing that the energy of the progressives seems to have taken over the party as opposed to Bobby Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard?
I'm glad you asked that question.
People that moved over. Yeah.
I'm glad you asked that question.
Why? Why?
So let's say, for example, you know, when you had folks within the Democratic Party on the progressive side talking about transgender.
And he blows the layup. You know? $1 million move and a 10-cent finish. I tell you this. Yeah, the fans not gonna be happy. Democrats don't talk about transgender as that's MAGA people who be about that constantly because they think it's such a huge issue. This man isn't a Democrat. He knows Republicans won't support him, so he claims Democrat because they're accepting of anyone. We don't want you. Get it through your thick skull. You are too tolerant of an insurrectionist and closet racist. F him. He only calls himself a Democrat because he knows he ain't got a shot running as a Republican. They'll send him to Africa before voting for him. Now, Stephen A. You think they would send him to South Africa? Well, I hear they got some space. I hear they got some space. It's some vacants. It's like 40 to 50 vacants they got in South Africa now. Stephen A., let me tell you a story. And this actually comes from your world. This comes from the sports world. So there once was a college football pundit named Josh Pate. And he decided that, like you, he didn't want to live his truth. He was somebody who would consistently put out that he didn't talk about politics on his show. Isn't that right? I'm a fairly open, never discuss politics on my college football show supporter. Hey, it's nothing wrong with that. Do your thing. Do your thing. But I did mention he was unwilling to live his particular truth. And it all came to a head on one beautiful afternoon. President Trump will join the show Sunday. Well, that feels political now. That's feeling a little politicky. It's feeling a little politicky. I can definitely tell you that. And they noticed. Look at the comments here. The comment to retweet ratio. And the comments weren't particularly kind. Are you going to ask him about Epstein? Just unsubscribe? What a hypocrite. Damn it, Pate, don't give that PDF warmonger another platform. Convenient how the I don't do politics bros always end up rubbing elbows with the president. It's really an easy choice to not have a PDF on your show. Huh, that is fascinating. So he was willing to alienate huge swaths of his audience to have Trump on the show. I wonder why that made sense. Josh Pate is further proof that 99% of the time, the guy you know who says I'm not political is absolutely political and only in one direction. We've seen that show many times. We've seen that. Hey, ain't that right, Laura Ingraham? Ain't that right, Laura Ingraham? Shut up and dribble. Wait, who said it? And what did they say? Oh no, he has a right to say what he wants to say. He definitely. No, we good on that. We good on that. That's gonna take quite some cleaning up. Well, the thing about it is, if you are still at the point of find out, unwilling to live your truth, it just gets messier. This ain't all the files. This is not all the files. Half these names are blacked out. This page right here look like UPN Friday night. Ain't nothing but black on here. And I know exactly who it is. Why is he protected? Oh, because he donated? All the tax breaks he get, that was basically my money he donated. Where's my protection? You already know, while the haves protect themselves and each other, they do nothing when your phone numbers, addresses, and bank accounts are being attacked. And you know who that helps? Data brokers that take all the information they can find on you and sell it without your knowledge. And creeps. It also helps creeps. We know this because the bill that would have required data brokers to get your consent before selling your information is circling the drain like this Congress. This is where today's sponsor, Aura, comes in. Data brokers do have to remove your information if you tell them, but they make it as hard as possible. But Aura does the hard work for you, constantly scanning the dark web and submitting opt-outs on your behalf. Give Aura a few weeks and you'll stop seeing your information on these sketchy sites when you search yourself. They also include features like dark web monitoring, fraud alerts, a VPN, and more. Aura is truly a great deal if you want to be more private and protected online. You can go to my link, aura.com/ReeseWaters. That's aura.com/ReeseWaters to try 14 days for free. That's enough time for Aura to start scrubbing your personal information off these data broker sites automatically. After Josh Pate announced that President Trump would appear on his show, the podcast host defended the decision, saying there would be no political discussions, only college football talk. After listening to the interview, it's not even clear if Trump was aware they were discussing college football. From the jump in their 10-minute interview, Pate's attempts to suss out authentic answers from the president about the sport kept hitting brick walls, only to be diverted to wherever Trump's whims took him. Oh, that must be the weave. That must be the weave. You know what I mean? Yeah, they patented his meanderings and inability to stay on topic or even remember what the subject of the conversation was. Yeah, they put lipstick on that for the whole campaign. Yeah, so you definitely should be used to that. Steer them to the national championship. Pate's next question began by bringing up the Miami Hurricanes, then quickly transitioned to Curt Cignetti, who led Indiana to the national championship, before leaving all of that behind by asking Trump what he looks for when he hires someone. Oh, we getting close. We getting there. We getting there. The question allowed Trump to deliver one of his signature rambles about how great he is at hiring people and how great his administration is. And see. You know? And see. Hey, Josh Pate, it's your show. It's your, you gotta set some ground rules now. Okay? It's your show. It says no politics up there on the show. You point to the thing like the Notre Dame sign. He put his hands on the sign before he came in there. So we don't do that. We'll send him to the transfer portal or something. He got, you know what? He got to sit out the first half. The next podcast, he got to sit out the first half. No politics. That's targeting. That's targeting. You said no politics, and he put his head down and he launched anyway. To his credit, Trump was the one who found a way to bring the conversation back to college football, though he did so in an incredibly comedic way, trying to get a cheap pop from Georgia fans about Herschel Walker, who was a disastrous candidate in his Trump-backed run for the U.S. Senate in 2022. Did Herschel ever figure out what country he's the ambassador for? Have they worked that out? Is it Barbados, Bermuda? Did he go to Brazil? What happened? All right. Well, I'm just saying, wherever he ended up, they better be careful. Because he is work with police.
And Herschel Walker, speaking about loyal, how good a football player was Herschel? Herschel Walker, now he's ambassador to the Bahamas. I don't know, Bahamas, Bermuda. Is he Bahamas? Whatever. It's nice, a nice place.
I worked for the Port Law Enforcement. Y'all didn't know that either, did you? I spent time at Quantico at the FBI training schools. Y'all didn't know I was an agent. I probably shouldn't tell y'all that. Y'all don't care. But anyway, yeah, I've been in law enforcement. So I grabbed my gun. I said, I will kill him. Herschel Walker, one of the highest, I'm going to kill him. I got in David, one of my many. I took off on 183. And I can still remember the voice of Herschel. People been disrespecting you all the time. People are always doing stuff to you. You never done nothing to nobody. And all of a sudden, this other voice of Herschel, your parents didn't raise you. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. I thought I was losing my mind. As I got closer and closer to where I was going to meet this guy, I started to pray. I said, Lord, I need some help right now. I said, I need you to help me. I said, I'm about to do something stupid right now. I need you to help me right now. I remember getting to this where I was going to meet him at. I got out of my car and I put my hand on my gun. As I was walking to this truck, before I could see the guy, I saw the sign on the back of his truck that said, honk if you love Jesus. And that's what calmed me down.
In the end, it was a collection of softballs that allowed Trump to do his patented dance of just saying whatever came to mind while peppering the discussion with casual political jabs and rewritten historical claims. It's a tidy explanation, but still doesn't explain why Pate spent most of the interview asking non-college football questions instead of peppering Trump with ones about the sport in general. Now, here's the part where I want to provide a little bit of grace, because he is the president of the United States, and I don't necessarily think that all the platforms that hosted Obama when he was in office were necessarily Democratic voters. And the same goes for the people that went to the White House. But them signs was blaring that this was going to be political well before this podcast started. Them sounds was as loud and gaudy as Trump interior design. The problem with that premise became apparent even before Pate announced that Trump would be on the show. Georgia Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, a vocal Trump ally, posted a video on X of Trump asking the crowd of patrons, think Biden would talk about the NIL. He doesn't know what it is. Apparently, Trump don't know what college football is either, because he kept trying to ask him about that, and that, you know, Yeah, that dog's not gonna hunt, Bert. As far as we know, Josh Pate hadn't asked Donald Trump a single question yet, and the interview was already being weaponized for partisan purposes. Landing an interview with the sitting president of the United States about college football would be the biggest booking of his career and massive validation of everything he's built over the past several years. But Trump's entire political identity is built on provocation and confrontation. He doesn't operate within other people's boundaries. And even if Donald Trump somehow stays perfectly on topic, the conversation will still be political because Trump makes everything political by virtue of being Trump. Yeah. Just ask the U.S. hockey team. Are they still at the McDonald's play place? Your reward for sacrificing your dignity after winning a gold medal. And somebody left in disgust too. What's that there on the ground? Hey, Trump, somebody threw their Happy Meal on the ground. Yeah, go ahead and pick that up so you can serve those fries to whoever come next. Like if the U.S. soccer team decide that they want to crash out like this, you can serve them fries just fresh off the ground. I mean, they want a gold medal, Trump. At least bring some McDonald Land characters. Grimace wasn't available. You couldn't get a meet and greet with Grimace or the Hamburglar or nothing. Y'all would have been treated better going to meet with Mayor McCheese than President Trump. And by the way, great comments to that video as well. And I didn't just pick Winnipeg and Jonathan Taves out of the clear blue sky. I used to go to Winnipeg all the time when I was out there doing stand-up. Shout out to Rumors and all the good people of Manitoba. Josh Pate. What did we learn?
Couple lessons I think we can learn here. Number one, if you're going to have somebody on the show who's controversial, you're going to make a controversial decision for your business, if you're going to say something that's controversial, be willing to stand behind it. Don't turn the comments off. Stand 10 toes on that decision you made. Stand 10 toes on that thing that you did. It's weak to do otherwise. Second thing, talk with your audience, not to your audience. I think the moment you disrespect your audience, you have lost. I think you've lost your way. You have no respect for people who make it possible for you to do what you do. And that's a place where you got to stop yourself and say, I've let this get too far. I've let this get out of hand. I need to check my own ego and I need to humble myself. Humble thyself, King. Humble thyself. You need to be humbled. The third lesson would be everyone needs to experience an ego death. These crazy egos we have in sports media. Brother, you're literally just a guy with a microphone and a camera. You're a roach on a rock. It ain't that serious. You're not that important. There are so many people in our space that think they walk on water. Who do you think you are? You're just a guy. You will learn from my young content creators out there, hell, young and old. You need to kill the ego as much as possible because it will be your downfall. That's how you get out ahead of your skis. I think that's how you really just lose sight of what's important. When you let the ego run rampant, that's how you lose sight of what's really important.
Did you say he turned the comments off? He turned the comments off? Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. So you have a long-standing stance of no politics on the show. You decide to bring in President Trump in the midst of ICE, Venezuela, Epstein, you name it. You decide to bring in President Trump and you turned off the comments? Bro, you know what I mean? I don't even know what to tell you. Hey, you better just fall on your sword now at this point, because that's horrible. That is horrible. So you knew exactly how to. You can't say you didn't know when you turned the comments off. So at this point, you just got to own it. He said, what now? I mean, listen to this. It's incredible coping, good Lord. 95% giving negative feedback are bots. 10 to 1 of the real people gave good feedback to having him on. Props to his team for getting rid of the bots that follow him, I guess. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way a grown man turned off the comments and then tried to claim that everybody was in favor. Nobody would do that. Like, there's no way that anybody in 2026 would be that disingenuous. They would, wouldn't they?
I know a lot of you have seen what you think is major pushback to this, and it did not occur to me until close friends, maybe some family hit me up, sort of worried. I walked in the building and Jesse was kind of worried today. I saw that look in your eye. You were kind of worried about me. How you doing? Boy, I know they've been coming after you. No, they haven't. No, they haven't been coming after me. An army of Twitter bots has come after me. But, you know, if you have access to some of the tools we have, you know who is and isn't real on the internet. I'd say over 95% at time of airing today of the pushback that we've gotten online has been from fake accounts. So the actual feedback we've gotten from the concept of bringing the president on the show has been 10-to-1 positive when it comes to real people voicing their feedback.
I can't help you, dog. I can't help you, dog. Yeah, you know, because he just went and tried to sell us that the interview that he gave where they had to turn off the comments and got blasted, everybody that got in something negative was bots and 95% was positive, but they had to turn it off. That's what. You know what? If we didn't know he was MAGA before, you know what I mean? He earned his seat. He definitely earned his seat. With that kind of spin, you could be in the cabinet. With that kind of spin, you don't waste your time on blocking and tackling. You should be in the cabinet with that kind of spin. That's nuts. Wow. Well, I can tell you this. You know, controversy sells. You know, you see how well Candace is doing in the content space. Controversy sells. So, at the very minimum, if 95% of the feedback was positive, which is preposterous because we live in the United States of America, where we actually have statistical information on how popular and not popular the president is.
As Wisconsin and Pennsylvania go, so go the nation. And right now, the president is going down like Sonny Liston. What are we talking about here? Okay, Trump's net approval rating, key swing states in Wisconsin, down negative 10 points. Of course, he won that state by about a point back in 2024. How about Pennsylvania? Down to negative 15 points on the net approval rating in Pennsylvania, a state he won in 2016 and 2024, lost in 2020. As I said, as go Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, so goes the nation. In this case, Donald Trump is going down in both of them.
The last three elections, Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, were basically 50-50 states.
You got it.
So when you see numbers like this, that's actually a fairly big deficit for the president there. What are these states saying about the president on the economy?
Yeah, okay. What is driving these numbers? What is driving President Trump down? It's his handling of the economy. It's this thing that we're seeing nationally impacting in the key swing states. Because just take a look here. Okay, Trump and the economy, swing state voters. Pennsylvania, Trump's economic disapproval rating, 56%. That doesn't work for Republicans. That doesn't work for Donald Trump either. How about in Wisconsin? Say Trump's policies raise inflation. Again, you get the majority, 53%. These numbers tracking very closely with how those voters feel overall in those two key swing states. And again, Donald Trump underwater, his economic disapproval, well more than a majority at this point. And you know, look at this. Say Trump's policies raise inflation 53%. How do you work with that if you're Donald Trump or Republican?
Now,
you know what, Josh Pate? Those was probably bots. Those was probably bots. You know what I mean? That record unpopularity, those were bots. You know, it's interesting now that they got bots in all different demographics now. But all the bots used to always be the same age and type, but now they got all kind of different. They got independent bots, left wing, right wing, old, young, white, and black bots. The black bots ain't responded to the survey yet, so they not counted in that. But they got all type of bots now. That's wild. With that kind of unpopularity, you know, amongst the bots, at the minimum, you should at least be able to get some views from a good hate watch. You know, as I mentioned, controversy sells, so hopefully you made a bag. Imagine being Josh Pate and only getting 19,000 views for your interview with the PDF president. Let's say 19,000. Let me see what they normally do. Hard to find. Did they delete it? Wait a minute. Did they delete it? No, they didn't delete it. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. They didn't delete it. I still can't find it. Did this man have Trump on the show and have to delete it? At the very minimum, he changed the thumbnail because Trump isn't on any of these thumbnails. At the very minimum, he changed it. Bruh.
A few moments later.
Imagine having Trump on your show and you put the Notre Dame tight end on the thumbnail because you have to. That sounds like a sound business decision, don't it? That sounds like a sound. You know what? I'm just going to inflame my whole entire audience. What you want to put on a thumb? Don't LSU got a new defensive tackle? Yeah, let's go with him. Let's go with. No, we can't put Trump on the thumb. We can't put Trump on the thumb. Nah. No, you can't just bust out there with Trump. You got to ease people into Trump. You got to make them feel comfortable first and ease people into Trump. And next thing you know, they're like, oh, what happened? The country's on fire. It's fascism. Like, you got to ease people into that. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm gonna have them feeling real good about my prognosis for the Big 12, and then bam, Trump. That's what we're gonna do, bruh. You went from no politics to I'm gonna bring them Trump. They politicized it before he even got there. Didn't even know what a football looked like. And then turned off the comments. Claimed 95% of the people enjoyed it. And all the people complaining were bots, as if we don't live in a society that has statistical analysis. And now I can't find it. Stephen A., I told you, that's what happens when you don't live your truth. That's what happens when you don't live your truth. Stephen A., I hope you learned something. I hope you learned something today.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that the Epstein files were in existence and free to have been opened during the Biden administration. You were there for 4 years. How come you didn't open it as a Democratic Party then?
You know, some people can't be helped. Some bad feet, bad hands. You know what I mean? Some people can't. You get them rolling. You got it. I tried. Geez, I wish Stephen A. Smith would stop speaking on stuff where he has zero knowledge. If he wants to understand why the Epstein files were not released, book JKB journalist on his show. She's the Miami Herald reporter who broke all of this. She can easily explain it to him. You know who else can easily explain it to him, Roland? Google. A simple Google search would solve your problem. A question you've been out here loudly asking for months. But apparently finding an answer and actually presenting truthful information is not the goal here. Now, is it, Stephen A.? I don't think it's working with the Republicans, though. They see exactly what, because they see you too much. They see you too much. Like, you say you a Democrat, but that's like, you know, telling people that somebody's implicated in the files of the administration that's inconvenient. They just, you know what I mean? That's like showing one of the Magas their old Iran tweets. It's just not, it ain't, you know what I mean? It ain't really, you know? It would be like trying to instill a winning culture within the Dallas Cowboys. Now that's something you could vibe with.
You like that? You like that?
Now, Stephen A., while we're there, you notice how here on my platform, I try and be as open and inviting and loving of all different kinds of peoples. And I like to rep different kinds of peoples behind me with the jerseys on my wall. And I have never put the Dallas Cowboys up. Notice that? Not one time. Maverick's been up there. Not one time. You know why? Because you have to live your truth. And ain't no way in the world I could sit up here and try and spread love and positivity with the Dallas Cowboys on my back. Yeah? Yeah. I hope you learned something today.
It's who they are. It's who they are. They are an inept franchise as far as I'm concerned.